Let's see how this went for you. To solve 3 e to the 2x minus 1 equals 11, I need to isolate the e to the 2x. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 1 to both sides. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3, which gives e to the 2x equals 4. And then taking natural log on both sides, we get the 2x down out of the exponent because the ln and the e cancel. That gives me 2x equals ln of 4. I'll divide both sides by 2 to get x equals the ln of 4 over 2. Again, remember that is not the same as the ln of 2. And we get approximately 0.693. I hope that went well for you. As always, if not, just ask me questions. Going on, we're going to see now how we will put this into practice with a real-world problem. The marketing department of a cookie company determines that T weeks after an advertising campaign ends, the number N of boxes of cookies it sells decreases according to the function n of t equals 13,000 e to the minus 0.32t. By the way, a quick aside, notice that's an exponential function with a negative exponent, so it's a decay function. It's going to be decreasing. First, how many boxes are sold right as the campaign ends, i.e. at time t equals 0? So in this part of the problem, they are giving us a t value to plug into our function. In other words, we're being asked, what is n of 0? Well, let's plug it in and see. So n of 0 would be 13,000 e to the minus 0.32 times 0. That gives us 13,000 e to the 0, right? And what's e to the 0? Anything to the 0 power is 1, so we get 13,000 boxes right as the ad campaign is ending. Next question. How many weeks will it take for sales to decrease to 10,000? Notice this time we're not given a time amount. In fact, time is the question. How many weeks? In other words, t is what when n of t equals, what's that number they gave us? 10,000. So it's really important when you do these modeling problems to be aware of what is being given and what is being asked. So if I put in 10,000 as the answer for n of t, and yet we also know that n of t is computed by going 13,000 e to the minus 0.32t, and we're looking for t, this gives us an equation to solve for t. So again, I need to isolate the exponential expression. So I'm going to divide both sides by 13,000. Which gives e to the minus 0.32t equals 10,000 over 13,000. And we can cancel a bunch of zeros there and simplify that to 10/13. Now if I take the natural log on both sides, which I can do because the exponential expression has been isolated, that gets my x down out of the exponent because the ln and the e cancel each other. At this point, we have negative 0.32t equals the ln of 10/13. And I need to divide both sides by that coefficient on the t to isolate the t. So I'll have t is ln of 10/13 over negative 0.32, at which point we grab a calculator and we get about 0.8 weeks. So a little less than a week before the sales drop down to 10,000. Let's see, what else do we ask for? In how many weeks? Now, just real quick, right away, let's notice that the question is about time. It's asking for a t value. In how many weeks will the sales have decreased to 1/2 the starting amount? Well, we already saw that the starting amount in other words, n sub 0, we already saw that that was 13,000 boxes. Half this amount is 6,500. And again, the question is, what is t when n of t is 6,500? So putting 6,500 in for n of t, we also know that n of t is computed by going 13,000 e to the minus 0.32t. So again, I have to isolate the exponential expression, which I'll do by dividing both sides by 13,000. And that's going to be 1/2, right? Because that's how we figured out the 6,500, is that it's 1/2 of 13,000. Now I take natural logs on both sides because I've isolated the exponential expression. That gets rid of both the ln and the e on the left-hand side, leaving me negative 0.32t equals ln of 0.5. We'll finish isolating the t by dividing both sides by negative 0.32, which gives us a little over 2 weeks, about 2.2 weeks. What was the last question on here? How many sales will there be after 4 weeks? Notice this time we're being given a time value. We're told 4 weeks. We're told t equals 4. So the question is asking us, what is n of 4? And all we have to do for that is put in to our formula the 4 for t. So we have 13,000 e to the minus 0.32 times 4, which works out to be 3,614 boxes. And I'm going to round that off to the nearest unit because you can't sell a fractional number of boxes.